Hello and welcome. This is Neptune from Full Range Media. Today I will be listing the top 10 card monsters from Monster Hunter World. At number 10, Anjanath, or Angie as what most people would probably say, is what you would get when you mess with the common laws of science and you get the end result of a pink Teletubby and a T-Rex that breathes fire. Its common weakness is water and other elements are somewhat effective. Its range of attacks are either from the front or back tail. Basically, tail swoop, chomping from the mouth, charging its face. But its main attack, which are either a one-hit or a huge damage by its fire breath, which can be countered with a high resistance armor piece and armor decorations as well. I would also highly suggest to bring in a flash pod as well, as a high resistance to fire armor. Moving on to number 9, we have Basilgeuse, a mixture of a B-52 and a run-of-the-mill fire wyvern, with a tendency of popping into, or should I say, nosediving, either the player while hunting or other monsters. Beetlejuice, as he is nicknamed by some, his base of attacks, as you guessed it, have both fire and blast attacks from its tail, head, or any other part of its body. And whenever its falling scales fall into the ground, it can hinder your movements as well, or they explode if you hit them. The other area of attacks are its head charge, tail swipe, or slam. I would also recommend bringing on this hunt for this nuisance of a creature. It would be blast and fire resistant armor. And to make sure you bring any thunder weapon. Next, on the number 8 spot on our list, we have Wolverine's pet. Odogaron. This crimson devil of a beast is a huge pain in the butt to all hunters. Its attacks are mainly physical, meaning you'll be encountering lunge attacks from its snaggle-tooth-like attacks, its tail swipes, its front 2 claws, which will give you a bleed effect. The only way of getting rid of it is, well, crouching. I'm not making this up. Crouching. Giggity. And what you need to bring with you is flash pods, ice-based weapons, and high defense armor. On our lucky number 7 spot is Kieran. And when I mean by lucky, you have to be lucky enough to land a couple of hits on this very mobile and annoyingly OP lightning unicorn. So in a nutshell, you get to destroy a brony's cherished icon by just smashing it over the head with a weapon of your choice. As brought up earlier, its attacks are predominantly lightning based with a dash of horse behavior like attacks, such as using its horn or its back legs to attack, and charging attacks as well. I think the redundancy behind prepping for this hunt is, well, have thunder or dragon resistant armor. And as for weapons, you must have fire. Now for number 6, the Black Diablos. This little ray of sunshine of a monster loves to use her assets, which are, of course, tail, horns, and emerging attacks, which means emerging from the ground. Like, a lot. Seriously, a lot. Its physical attacks also include her horns by charging you forward or swaying back and forth, as well as her tail swipes. Not to mention the ear-splitting screams that occasionally disrupt your actions if you're not wearing the proper armor or charms from the ground. I suggest using some scream pods or local wildspire waste windrakes to bring up this wonderful and delightful creature from the ground. It's best to bring ice-based weapons and armor with an earplug skill.
For number 5, we have Azure Rathalos. Like its original form, this subspecies loves to use combos and to remain mainly airborne than on the ground. Be aware that this Azure Rathalos loves to spam the same set of moves over and over. So by countering this, bring lots of flash bugs paired with flash pods. Then you can easily force him aground when he's airborne. Not to mention the fire-resistant armor or an earplug skill if you're comfortable fighting him without being interrupted with his roar. And don't forget to use a dragon or ice weapon as well for this creature. On the number 4 spot we have Val Hazak. If you ever played Bloodborne, wandered around the world, and paused to think, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if there was a 4-legged dragon that spewed a corrosive poison and that's covered in rotten flesh? Boy, I would sure love to fight that. This Elder Dragon loves to use ramming attacks, tail sweeps, 2 front claw slashes, along with its long-reaching to sometimes one-hit kill effluvian breath. It remains mainly on the ground, so you don't have to worry about air-based attacks. On the preparation side of this, always have a null barrier with you, just in case you are blighted from its effluvian aura that either surrounds it or does an AoE effect from its attack. As well as have armor that has a resistance to dragon and has a skill that nullifies or reduces the effluvian buildup from the dragon. As for the weapons, have a fire or dragon element with you. Number 3 we have Xeno'jiiva. This Titanic-sized Elder Dragon you encounter during your campaign has huge reach from both physical and energy-based attacks. Its front 2 claws, as well as a tail, are the areas you have to both look out for as well as attack during your encounter with this Elder Dragon, because they are also breakable. Its energy attacks, on the other hand, are like the equivalent to a cannon or a Kamehameha shot, depending on the situation. For his massive size, it's maybe difficult to land a complete melee combo on his front 2 legs and tail, but maybe easier for ranged weapons though. Unfortunately, Xeno has a relatively balanced elemental weakness, so you could pretty much use about anything, just as long as it has a high damage output, and bring lots of dragon resistance armor with varied skills and decorations attached. On to our number 2 slot. On the top 2, we have Kashla Da'ora, a wind-based Elder Dragon that surrounds itself in a wind aura and makes mini to monolithic tornadoes. His physical attacks are a jumping lunge, a ramming, front 2 claw swipes, and his tail attacks. Windproofing your armor and dragon proofing would be essential, and using thunder and dragon weapons as well. So in short, try to avoid his physical attacks and huge tornadoes when fighting this dragon. And finally, for the number 1 slot we have Teostra, a fire-based along with huge AoE fire blast attack Elder Dragon. Its physical attacks are front 2 claws, tail, and ramming its forward body. Teostra has the most massive AoE for mid-sized Elder Dragon, which makes fire and blast attacks that hinder and sometimes can one-hit and make this encounter be more difficult than usual. And try to stay away from its long-reaching cone of fire attack. Bring armor that has fire and blight resistance, and flash pods are also effective against this Elder Dragon before he is doing an aerial attack or whenever he's charging up for a AoE, and use water and ice weapons as well against him. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The top 10 list of hard monsters along with recommended items to help you on your future hunt against these creatures. This is Neptune at Full Range Media, wishing you a good day, a good night, and to always enjoy.